Hey, hey, welcome back to the Living ABSD podcast. I'm your host, AB, short for ABSD. I use they, them pronouns. And I'm excited today to have another divinely unique being here in this space with me, my dear friend Caitlin, who has been such a light in my life as we've met a couple years ago now, and just getting to watch you on your journey and the way that our journeys have intersected, and just the love and the care that you bring to every space that we enter into together. And I have little goose pimples on my
Oh,
body as I'm saying that. It's just so sweet to have you here in this space with me today. And I look forward to hearing your unique perspective and the inspirations that get to come. And I'd love to give you space to introduce yourself before we ground in and get started.
thank you, ABSD. I have tears forming from your opening and also thinking about our journey to this moment and all of the life phases we've been through together. And yeah, I'm just so excited to be here today to share about my life and feel open to what may come from that. And yeah, I'd love to just share a little bit about me. That's a great invitation that I didn't put too much thought into, but we'll see what comes. Um, yeah, I live in the mountains of Colorado, a little town called Netherland with my dog and my partner. And I live in my dream home. I live in a space that I have cultivated and created over the years to be a space that I feel safe in and that I can welcome others into and invite them to feel safe too, and to feel held and to feel part of community.
Mm.
And that's a really big thing in my life, and a big value is building community, maintaining community. I come from a life of growing up in the Midwest with a pretty typical working class family. And there were a lot of tumultuous things I experienced in my childhood that created a lack of family and a lack of community in my family of origin. And that's something I really create in my life now. And I'm just so grateful for my community here in Boulder and the way that I feel really supported. I've been in a big transition in my life around identity with career and relationships and stepping into a new chapter of motherhood. And I feel really held by community in all of it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I see that so clearly in you every time that I've entered into the safety bubble of your space in the mountains, and in the way that you continue to hold me and the other people around you in that community. And I can feel that intention. And so it's really beautiful to get to hear you talk about it and to share that perspective of how you got to be the way that you are around community. As we enter into this space, I am going to invite us to take three grounding breaths together. And for all of you listening, I invite you to breathe with us as well. The invitation is to close your eyes. But again, if you're driving a car, don't close your eyes. All right, let's breathe together. I call upon our divine spirit team and guides, invisible forces, and any beings that vibrate at divine love or higher that wish to enter into this space with us as we cultivate conversation and curiosity to inspire through our own words to each other and the other people who sit in this space with us. I ask that this podcast find every person who is meant to find it at the right moment in time to help ignite what is wanting to come forward, to find that safety and the fun and community that gets to be cultivated through this conversation. Let it integrate and find joy and love in the process. And so it is.
So it is.
I love to start this space with the same question. And I'm curious if there have been any key turning points or breakthroughs that have happened in your life as you have been on this journey of healing and cultivating safety within yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a big question. My mind wants to go way, way back. And there's also very recent times, key turning points. I'm gonna just feel into where that wants to go.
Mm.
Yeah, on this thread of living in the mountains of Colorado, where right now I'm looking out at towering pine trees and the mountains and the sun shining. A true turning point for me in my life was moving into nature.
Mm,
There's so many other things I've experienced in my life, these big transitions and big shifts and identity shifts and job shifts. And this move into nature was truly a turning point that influenced everything else.
mm. I am curious of I'm working through a program right now that talks about the sacred and the nature as one. And
Mm,
that's my belief in what I find in my body as well. And I'm curious of how your connection with yourself and this and the sacred and nature all kind of intertwine to help this turning point be such a big turning point in your life.
yeah. Yeah. So the I would say the driving force to live in nature was an opening that came from my beginning work with ayahuasca. I started working with that medicine out of seeking healing for PTSD and other mental health issues and addiction. And while all of that was supported, and I did find a lot of relief, what it really opened me to was this connection with nature and with the divine through nature.
Mhm.
And once I started seeing nature as sacred, as the divine, there was just no way I couldn't not be immersed in it.
Mhm.
And immersion can come in many different ways. It doesn't have to mean living in the forest, but for me, that is what it meant. And I take my daily walks and I sing to the trees and I pray and I return to the same spots on the land and the land around my home. And I leave offerings and I sometimes take gifts from the land to bring with me and bring to my altar and support me. And I really don't think I could have done that had I not lived here. I really have an intimate relationship with this land and it gives back. And I feel its power and its spirit and its divinity and its sacredness. And I think in other ways, I spent a lot of time seeking that through taking big backcountry trips and hiking and spending time in nature when I lived in Milwaukee in a city. But there's something very different about living in it every single day and seeing it transform and seeing the way it transforms me
Mhm.
that I couldn't have experienced from those short trips.
Mhm. The reciprocity is so beautifully spoken. And I, especially getting to be in the forest year round and watch how the trees change and the landscape does, and the slowness that comes with winter because of how surrounded you are by it all the time. There is I- something that I love to encourage people is to bond with the place that you live in, and the bonding that you've done with your home and what surrounds you is really beautiful. And I'm there's so much gratitude in being able to shine light on that and show people that the place that we live carries so much love for us too. And when we go
Yeah.
love on the land loves on us in return, which makes me want to ask about relationships. And this can be with the land specifically and the nature around you, or relationships outside of nature too. And in what ways have your relationships been impacted by your
Mm.
healing journey?
Yeah. This is a big theme right now. Um, getting ready to get married in a month and a half.
Yay.
And getting married brings up a question around who do I invite to celebrate that moment?
Mhm.
How do I choose who I want there in those moments? And there's questions around like just the capacity of the space, but also like, yeah, like what is a relationship to me that feels supportive of my life and my celebrations and my marriage. And one of the themes that I work on consistently and just like mad props to my therapist. Love our therapist who is an ecotherapist, so
Awesome.
very focused on nature. Um, is this idea of reciprocity. I have a mantra that I've been saying over and over the last few months. I'm only available for relationships that are reciprocal.
Mm,
I am only available for relationships that are reciprocal.
mm,
And that is something that has taken me a long time to truly embody.
mhm,
It began with noticing where I didn't feel reciprocation in my romantic relationships, in my friendship, in my family of origin,
mm,
and feeling a lot of resentment and feeling that I would try to pull people in to reciprocation. Like I would be doing a lot of work to get them to meet me because I really wanted them to, because I love them and I want to be in relationship with them that feels whole and good for both of us.
mm,
And I went through many chapters and I'm now in the chapter of I will not pull anyone in. I want to be fully met in reciprocation. And reciprocation can look different depending on the life phase, the capacity, the person, the relationship, all of the things. And that's something I'm always thinking about. Like, what is reciprocation in this moment and in this relationship? It looks different in different relationships. But yeah, for me, like it means like meeting the desire to make plans together, meeting the desire to hold a friendship that's non-traditional. And that means like keeping each other updated on our travels and our life goals and checking in and sharing hurts and sharing joys and yeah, really feeling balanced in our relationship. And yeah, I don't feel that in my family of origin. I haven't for a long time. And it's taken me a long time to accept that.
mhm, mm. I really appreciate the intention that goes behind the mantra. What a powerful mantra to embody and to hold and to grow into the embodiment that comes with continuing to say that mantra over and over again. And relationships are meant to be reciprocal and to continue calling that into your life. And I it makes me wonder also about boundaries of as you're navigating how to meet a person and be met by another person in relationship because like you said every single relationship is so different. How do you set boundaries around yourself and the growing into the balance that makes you and the other person feel safe or just how have you navigated those along the way?
Yeah. I, man, I do so much work with boundaries. And I'm reading a book called Boundaries That Stick
Hmm.
um, by, I think her name is Julianne Taylor Shore. And she is a licensed marriage and family therapist. And I love some questions she poses around how how to let information in and how to know if it's information that we need to do anything with. And then this helps us create boundaries.
Hmm.
So I've been using this model when, for example, someone brings something to me that is an invitation. Um, it could be an invitation around something that they're feeling hurt about, or it could be an invitation to hang out. It could be, it's an invitation. And I ask myself, is whatever they're bringing to me like actually about me? Is
Mm.
it something that, um, yeah, there's many different ways to ask that question, but is it about me or is it about them?
Mhm.
And if it's about them, I get to decide. Do I want to engage in that?
Mhm.
If it's about me, I also get to decide. And I typically do say, yes, I do want to engage if it is something that involves me or it's about me or I'm somehow impacting someone else. Um, but yeah, I use that framework to just kind of first ask myself, like, do I even want to engage? And yeah, going a step further into like, how do I create? maintain and honor boundaries for myself, a lot of that work is done internally by understanding what my needs are, understanding what I'm available for, understanding and identifying what yeah, again, like how I want to actually engage with someone.
Mhm.
And so when I first do that, I then have a sense of myself. I have a sense of like, okay, how do I want to orient? And then because we are in relationship, I'm then bringing that to the other person. I'm either sharing my boundary or I'm asking questions to inquire to understand our relationship.
Mhm.
And recently I had a housemate and we lived together for about a year. And this was something we worked on a lot, were discussions around how to navigate boundaries within the home and our needs. And one thing that I really loved is once I was able to really identify what my boundaries were, I could then speak them and then she could respond.
Mhm.
And so I think it really begins for me with fully identifying what is it that I'm wanting? What is it that I'm desiring and needing so that I can speak it to the other person so that we can then create a shared vision around it and collaborate within the structure of what I need.
Mhm. The emotional intelligence that goes in to that process of being able to go internally and ask yourself those questions before the external process of navigating it with the other person. That's something that I am strengthening my muscle around right now, is the internal part of navigating what the boundary is before the boundary even gets to be crossed, and understanding what I need out of the situation. And I admire your process with that, and checking in with yourself and the body and asking questions to then have the clarity to bring it forward to the other person, which is a process, and
Yeah.
going through strengthening that muscle around how to hold yourself in those conversations and know what you need. And um, I checking in with our bodies and knowing what the body is telling us, so that then we can communicate from that place, feels like a really beautiful foundation for boundaries.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like how boundaries work.
Yeah, the somatics of boundaries, right? Like, so I'm in a somatic therapy program called Soma Soul, and we bring in embodiment, expressive art, movement, and elements of psychotherapy. And I truly believe that it all begins with first feeling what's happening in here, in our bodies, in our nervous systems,
Mm,
in this heartbeat, like feeling what's actually happening physically on that level first,
mm.
can really inform the rest.
Which makes me curious around, as you check in with yourself and on this journey that you've been on of being able to do that so beautifully, and navigating the parts of you that wanted to have a voice and the parts that don't and want to be dormant, and different aspects of yourself that have come out. What parts of yourself have you been able to reclaim along the way as you've been on this journey of tuning into your body and what your body needs?
Yeah. The first thing that comes up is agency over my body.
Mm,
I had a really profound experience the other night. I was at a family constellations workshop. I love parts work, IFS. Yeah. And highly recommend anyone listening, if you haven't worked with family constellations, to Google it quickly because it's really powerful work and it can be done quickly. And I was in a family constellation workshop earlier this week, and in the workshop, I was experiencing like an aversion to this energy that we were all surrounding and doing a practice around. In this workshop, there was one representative of an energy. We None of us knew what that energy was, but we were instructed to stand somewhere in the room adjacent to that energy, and my body just wanted to be like, no, and I had my back to it. And the instructor invited me to like test moving around, face the energy. And I did that for a moment. And I was like, nope, I'm actually still good. I'm going to go back over here. And that felt so powerful for me to be able to really choose where I want to be in relationship to something else.
Mm-hmm.
And then it went a step further when another person in the space was feeling like a caretaker part coming out. Like she had expressed noticing that she just wanted to come over and like hug me and care for me because she noticed I was feeling this aversion. And while that intention is sweet, I was a no. Like she came over and she said, I just really want to hug you. Can I do that? And I just said, no, I'm not open to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt so empowered and I felt so much agency over my body and my choices. And as a survivor of sexual assault, there's a time when I didn't have that. And there were many times after that, after an incident of sexual assault, that in so many ways, I did not have agency over my body. And that an example would be a situation like that. I would have froze and I would have let the person hug me so she could feel better.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't. And I felt really good. And I communicated it kindly. I just said, no, I'm not open to that. And I didn't feel any guilt. And I didn't feel any desire to try to smooth that over and make sure she was okay that I told her no. I was just like, no.
I've always noticed that about you since we've orbited each other of how much agency you carry.
Mm,
And it gives other people permission to do the same because the way that I grew up, I wasn't taught agency over my body. That's not something that I was actively knew or understood that I could have until way later on into adulthood. And to even get to continue to stand in that empowerment of like, no, I'm not available for that right now. And to speak it out and to even be continued to like, the instructor tried to help you, this other person tried to help you, and you're like, I don't need help right now. I know what my body needs and I'm in my agency is a really beautiful representation of all the work that you've done within yourself and reclaiming parts of you to um, be this empowered version that's knows what you need and knows how to ask for that along the way too. How beautiful.
thank you for seeing that. And thank you for saying that you see that and reflecting that back to me. It is actually very important to me because of how much I weave in community to share these reflections with each other and share the light we see in others and share when we see the hurts and the darkness too. And like, I just really appreciate being seen in that journey because it's been a long one for me. So, yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, you've given me more permission than to work on that within myself than you know, and the ripples are so big. And as you continue to stand in that power, it has impact in ways that you don't realize or see. So thank you too. Mm. Which that empowerment makes me want to ask about strength. And because I see the strength in you, I see how you continue to show up for you and your needs, and also the people around you. There is beautiful balance that I've always witnessed. And I would love to hear you talk about your definition of strength and
Mhm.
how that's changed for you since you have been in your agency.
Yeah. I noticed two words coming up that I see as strength and that I see as strength in myself: slowness and softness.
Mm.
I come from a background of being in the military. I was in the Air Force for 9 years and did a lot of strong things. um, Things that, yeah, required me to muster up physical strength, emotional strength, mental strength. And those all felt very outdated to me, like, and not in alignment with the actual way that human beings and our nervous systems live. And very masculine.
Mhm.
Makes sense. It's the military, it's a very masculine structure. Um, and what I'm learning, I'm 36 years old, and what I'm learning at this age and this stage of life is that my strength is really in how I can assert my slowness in a system that is so fast and is so maybe numb to how fast paced everything really is, and to assert that my slowness is really a way of gathering and growing. And that is what creates strength, is like the true foundation of spending time with something and allowing it to simmer and
Mm.
going at a pace that feels like nature, that feels more natural. And Nate, and like I'm looking again out at the trees right now, they are so strong. I have seen I have seen 80-mile-per-hour winds up here in Netherlands coming off the Continental Divide. And these trees are like swaying and bending and allowing, and sometimes they break, and most times they don't. And they can do that. They have that strength because they are slow in their process. They're not just shooting up and growing so quickly. If they were, they would break.
Mhm.
And so I really value my slowness, and I really value and appreciate my softness. I think that we don't traditionally think of soft when we think of strength, but there does take a lot of intention and power to be soft,
Mhm.
because it's so easy to be abrasive and loud and really like muster up that like macho-ness, and like if people could see I'm doing like the muscle man pose. I think that, like, yeah, being soft is just such a powerful way to be, and there's a lot of strength in it.
Hmm. The intersection of softness and slowness with strength, your the visual of the trees is a really powerful one to sink into around both softness and slowness and the strength to be able to grow from the ground up in this slowness and knowing that flowing with what comes in life and getting to be in the softness of that and letting it sink in, I think really also reminds me back to what we were talking about inside of going inward first and allowing that slowness of letting something sink in and land softly in the system to then know how I'm going to show up in that is so strong and powerful.
Mhm.
And to have your background in such a physical strength representation and it's shifting into this version of self where the slowness and the softness is the strength is such a powerful transformation.
Mm,
Hmm.
mhm,
Coming from these different worlds that you it feels like different versions of self is what I am inside of myself as I look back at my life. And um, how has your worldview shifted from
mm.
these different versions of self to the place where you do get to stand in that slow and soft strength that you embody now?
Yeah, something I really love about myself, this is just something really cool I've reflected on, is how in all versions of me, the versions of me that have been in academia, PhD program, a sergeant in the military, a somatic therapist, a medicine woman, a friend, a lover, a daughter, a frolicker in nature, all of it, an advocate, civil rights advocate for many years. Through all of that, I have really felt my core values have never changed. My
Mm,
core values of integrity, my core values of equity, my core values of honesty and transparency.
mm,
Those things have always come with me, and they've morphed and they've become clearer, and I've learned how to actually act on them and how to live them.
mm,
But they have always been there. I can remember feeling those from teenage years, not knowing how to identify them.
mm,
And when I think about the way that my perspective, my worldview has changed through all of these life identities, through all of these phases, through these years, is I think in the earlier years, I didn't see the good. in humanity. I didn't see those values in others. And I do actually see a lot more of that now. Like when I am having conflict with someone, or when I was in my civil rights career just recently, I just resigned, um, and I'd be negotiating a very difficult discrimination case. In these last few years, I have felt so much compassion for both sides, and especially the side that is being alleged to have discriminated against someone. Like, that's not something I felt 10 years ago when I first started that work. I was like such an advocate and so powerful, but I didn't have that same perspective to bring in that I do truly think, I truly believe all of us want to live in integrity and we want to be people who do good things in the world. And there's so many outside circumstances that mess that up over time and hurt us and create these barriers. But I would say that my worldview is really open to have so much more compassion and curiosity about why people do the things they do that hurt others. And I think that's a really big shift. I think it's a shift that could be so impactful for people who work in human justice and civil rights. Having worked in that for over a decade, I really felt that that was lacking. And if more of us understood, and not just that field, but people in our government and our leadership, like, I mean, that kind of understanding that we all actually want to be living in equity and integrity and clarity. Yeah, I think that that could really change. I really believe it could change the world.
The inherent good in all beings and being able to see that. And I always, something I say often is, you don't know what you don't know. And so many people are living from this place of not knowing, of, and being able to expand your perspective and worldview to that compassion, of being able to see where people are coming from and the curiosity of wanting to understand, why are you making that action? Why, what has hurt you in the past to make you have that line of thinking or that logic to expand around that? I agree with you. I really think that worldview shift could help us all connect to the interconnection that already exists and help us meet eye to eye in a more sustainable and lasting way. Hmm.
Yeah, I agree. And even if it didn't, like, I think about how opening myself to that curiosity and compassion is has been life changing for me. And I still don't have to allow whatever that energy is into my world. That's where like the good boundaries come in.
Thank you, boundaries.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's such a good add-on to that because not other people's shit is not your shit. And
Mhm.
to have the discernment between that too. And I love to meet people where they are, but I'm also where I am. And I'm going to meet you there, but I'm not going to take it on because it's not mine. And knowing how to hold those boundaries is how we are able to continue meeting people where they are,
Yeah.
compassion and care. Hmm. I would love to hear about some of your victories and wins along the way. I have gotten to witness so many in you over the last few years, and um, to think about the small and the large victories along the way, and what have these moments meant to you on your journey, and as you continue to unfold into you.
Oh, this is a fun question. And I also notice it brings up some part in me that as soon as you asked the question, I thought, oh, I don't know what victories. I don't know what wins. Someone else must, yeah, maybe you could tell me because I don't know what they are. And that's funny. I'm noticing like the invitation to celebrate myself seems like something I'm challenging to step into, uh, which is kind of surprising. So, yeah, I'm going to sit with that for a moment.
I even just love how aware you are to the part that wants to step back and not be seen in the light. And
Yeah.
yeah, I admire that about you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Wow. I think about the first things that come through are these milestones that they're the milestones that I think anyone could recognize, like graduations and um, things that are along the relationship ladder, like marriage and baby and things like that. But what's actually coming through is like some really small moments and things that maybe I haven't even recognized as wins and as victories. And yeah, like something that I really, really appreciate in my life is the way that in a system that is consistently trying to keep us separate, I have cultivated and maintained incredible friendships that are family.
Mhm.
And I think that is a huge win in a society that is like trying to keep us separate and that will not, at least here in the US and in this part of the country, living tribally, communally is not the way. And every single day that I choose that, I think is a huge win and a celebration in a place where it's not supported. Yeah. So I'm really celebrating. I'm really celebrating the way that me and my community create that together and the way that we continue to live in that celebration of like we do get to be in this amazing community and we get to have family that are friends and friends that are family. Yeah, I'm so grateful for that. Um, I want to feel into the next one. And I noticed needing a minute. Hmm. I really want to celebrate. I really want to celebrate leaving my marriage. I want to celebrate, yeah, like I think about the death of something, the end of something. And sometimes we celebrate that in a way when we celebrate through a funeral, right? Like that is a celebration, even though we don't call it that sometimes, but the honoring of the end of something. We do that when people die.
Mhm.
And I didn't really do that in the end of my marriage in 2020. I chose to leave a really comfortable life, comfortable relatively on the maybe external looking out. People would say it looked very comfortable. Choosing to leave that life was what led me to the now. And I really just want to celebrate that and be like, fuck yeah, I made that choice, a very hard choice. And I followed my intuition every step of the way. I made some really rocky choices along the way that were hurtful. And I acknowledge and apologize for that. And I have. And man, that's a pretty big victory to do something that is so big and life altering.
Mhm.
I know people are throwing divorce parties now, so that's really cool. Maybe I could still throw one. Why not?
Yeah, no rules.
Yeah, so I really want to celebrate that that choice.
Yeah, I love that celebration. And life makes sense looking backwards and to look back at your previous version of self and see that she continued to follow her inner knowing and to lead you to where you are now, where through the uncomfortability, you've got into now be in such alignment with where your life is in this current moment and also moving to the future. It's fucking awesome to reflect on and to celebrate even the challenging choices that are victories because those are the harder choices to have to lean
Yeah.
into the uncomfort that comes with making them. And I also want to just like shine light on the choice of conscious community and celebrating that too, because that was something when you were like, maybe you could tell me, that was what I was thinking of. And, and I've, it's I've witnessed that in you, and then it also has taught me how to do that in my own life
Mm,
and getting to see how intentional you are with people and the people around you and friendship and family. And that's been a beautiful weaving to get to
mm.
witness and be inspired by too.
Thank you. Thank you. I do want to share one more. One
Yeah.
more came through. I lived with PTSD for my whole life, really. Um, it doesn't come up, the symptoms are not so symptomatic anymore. And one of the celebrations around that is the first time I was in a very minor conflict with a neighbor. She was mad at me because my dog ran near her house and she got upset. And really, it was the first time I was able to self-regulate
Mhm.
and be the the receiver of someone's energy, someone's anger, which in the past would have triggered the fuck out of me. I would have panicked. I would have probably yelled back. I would have been shaking. I was really able to breathe, to ground, to make that choice of like, do I want to engage in this? Is this about me?
Mhm.
How do I protect my peace right now? And that was maybe about 2 years ago. And maybe three now. And I'm so grateful for that opportunity to celebrate such a win in my journey with PTSD.
Mhm. And to now see where it's led you with all of your somatic work.
Yeah.
The golden thread keeps weaving.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for letting me celebrate.
Yeah, it's fun to celebrate. As we come to the end of our time, I want to end with one final question of what wisdom or insight do you carry now that you didn't before?
Mm. Been on the journey of healing my attachment wounds. And one thing I know now that is guiding me is that my needs will always be met.
Mhm.
They will be met by my internal resourcing. They will be met by the incredible community around me. They'll be met by my partner. They'll be met by this incredible landscape that holds me so dearly, my home. I lived for many years in a disorganized, insecure attachment style that had me grasping for needs because they weren't met when I was a child and when I was a teenager and even in my early adult relationships. And now I really know it to be so true that I feel this deep sense of security within myself and trust that when a need is spoken, when I'm stating a need, and when I am clear about that need, it will be met. It may not be met by the first person I ask, it may not be met by myself internally, and it still will be met by someone else, something else. It will be met by spirit, by divinity, by my connection with nature in some way. And this has profoundly changed my life because I'm just no longer living in that scarcity of like, how do I get my needs met? How do I make sure someone hears me? How do I ensure that people understand I'm sensitive and I need an environment that is free of fragrances and chemicals and bright lights? And now I simply state those things and they're typically very quickly honored with joy. And when they're not, then I know how to choose what I need. Yeah, it's really changed my life.
Mhm. Wow. And what a great way to end on. And I really appreciate the way of releasing and just like, yeah, the how's not my responsibility. I know that when I state my needs do get met and I can ask for help. And when I ask, space is created for the answer to come. And to now have safety around that and safety to say, yeah, that smell is too much for me. I'm going to leave the room. Or can you not put that on next time we see each other? And to have people honor that, or to know the spaces where it's not honored that you're not going to enter into again. And what a beautiful acknowledgement to yourself and
Mm.
to owning you. It's amazing.
Yeah.
As we
Thank
close
you.
out, I would love to give you an opportunity for you to share how people can find you if you're interested in people finding you after this.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, I am a budding somatic therapist, and I do have an Instagram, Integrity First Therapies is the handle. You can also find me on the web just by Integrity First Therapies. I have a Substack that is linked to the Integrity First Therapies Instagram that I'm growing and sharing my life wisdoms with, and would love for people to read that and follow it and support my work in any way that feels authentic to you all and to them.
Amazing. And is there anything else that you would like to share in this space before we close out?
Ah, yeah, I'm really grateful to be given the opportunity to reflect on some of these really big questions, and appreciating the tenderness in which you bring those questions forward, and also your authenticity and the incredible background behind you. I hope that somewhere, somehow people can see this because it's gorgeous. And yeah, just thank you. Thank you for doing this project that shares wisdoms and nuggets of learnings with the world. I'm so grateful to be part of that.
Mm, Thank you for that. And thank you for the gratitude. And I have it in reciprocation for you. It was so special to get to have you in this space and hear more of your story and have these inspirations and curiosities be so woven beautifully through your life experience. And thank you for saying yes and for being such a sweet human in my life that I've
Mm.
gotten to learn from. And I just have a lot of gratitude for you coming and into this space too. So thank
Aw,
you. It's been
I
fun.
love you.
I love you. And with that, I'm going to close us out. Caitlin, I love you. And to all of you listening, I love you. And let go out, love loudly, be your fully authentic self. The world needs you as you and your divinely unique being as you. The thumbprint that you bring to this world, the gifts that you carry, only you can offer. And just like we learned today through Caitlin's story and the unique perspective she brings, you bring that perspective through your own life and experiences and voice, and the world needs you as you. I love you. Till next time. Bye.